A clerical error has made it where Jimmy and I need to go over two guys with his famous roster countdown today.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. AHSAA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day because you made Locked On the number one sports podcast network. There is not number 11. That's two number ones separately from one another. There is a clerical error that we have had. Jimmy is the cleric, and he made an error, but that's okay. That just means we got to double up on roster countdown today. And you know what? When you get this low in the countdown, they get even more funner. That's what Dylan Wade would have said. The Auburn player said Auburn is more superior to Alabama, which, of course, is redundant, but that's okay.
More funner isn't. I don't think that's redundant, but
no, more funner is not only redundant, it's also wrong. Just there's no funner.
What happened was when we started the countdown, which is 60 days ago now, we started basically, we've talked about 60, I think it's 62 players are included here. We guessed that practice would start March 9th based on the calendar. We guessed that was so close. And then about 3 weeks ago or so, I was told that it was March 9th by like a really good source. And then yesterday we find out actually they're starting Sunday, March 8th. And I don't know if that's a change or, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is we sort of do the roster ranking serving as a countdown. So we want number one to be discussed the morning that they start practice. So we're going to cover two guys today. And they happen to be fairly good players because you're talking about the fourth and third best players on the roster. And boy, this is up for discussion because especially the top three, I think were really tough. But number 4 is Michael Carroll, the right tackle. Boy, what any true freshman that comes in and earns the right to start anywhere in the SEC, it's an impressive feat. And of course, Carroll was a 5-star and everybody thought he'd be good. And I compared him to Tyler Booker as a prospect. And let's remember this about Booker. Booker played a ton with the ones, even substituting in with the ones when Saban didn't really ever do that before Booker. But Booker became a rotational piece with the first team. But Booker didn't start a game. I think his first start was the bowl game against Kansas State his freshman year. Carroll started, mid-season and was playing with the ones. So Carroll, in terms of winning a spot on the field, actually ahead of Booker. Carroll ends up playing tackle instead of guard. I think he's going to stay at tackle. Sources close to the program indicate he's going to stay at tackle. Kids want to stay at tackle. There's more money to be made at tackle. I think that's a big reason why he's capable of doing both. Most projected him to be a guard, but it was 6'5". He's got the length to play tackle, and he played really well for a freshman. I'm anticipating, Luke, a big year 1 to year 2 jump for him, having the whole full year, strength and conditioning, now being an experienced player. Now sort of, I'm not going to call him the leader of the group. He's still kind of young for that, to be the leader, but he is the only returning starter and the only guy on the offensive line I'll just right now pencil in and say he's a starter. I wouldn't say that about any of the other 4 spots. He didn't grade out exceptionally well last year in terms of like PFF grades, but for a true freshman, he did. I always say this, I can't emphasize it enough, though some will disagree, but I can't emphasize it enough. Any evaluation of a college player has to start with how old he is. You don't compare the play of a senior to a player that's playing as a freshman. The freshman is going to get better and better and better and better. And I think Michael Carroll, again, I've always compared him to Tyler Booker. Booker ended up being the 12th pick in the draft or so. I'm not going to guess Carroll goes any lower than that. I mean, I think he's a fantastic long-term star in this game.
Yeah, I think he'll be a much higher pick than that. Excuse me if I have to clear my throat a few times. I've called 4 basketball games in a row for the last 3 nights. I'm about to call 3 games in a row later this afternoon. I have spending all of my nights
do that,
following and watching high school kids. And I've got to be a better way to say that. But it's been fun. We'll talk about some of the AHSAA stuff in just a bit. Michael Carroll, of course, first team freshman all SEC, freshman all American by some services. Should have been. He is known for a background in wrestling. I think that comes out in his play. He is nasty. Comes to being an offensive lineman. He is not a polite guy who blocks you and then good rep. No, he wants to embarrass you in front of your friends and family, and that comes out in his play. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's how offensive line should be. Just a good player, a good dude, originally from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, played at IMG and now at Alabama. So another thing that's going to be good when he ultimately goes to the NFL, you would think, this guy's been around and seen a lot of big stuff. He's traveled around a bit. I think he's going to be a really smart player. People who are well-traveled generally are pretty smart.
Great family, too. Great family.
I met his dad. His dad's a cool dude.
Yeah, I think Dad might have played at Penn State, if I remember right. Or something like that. Okay. Might have been. I think that's true.
His dad was decked out in a lot of Bama gear, which I appreciate.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm assuming he's not wearing Penn State stuff to watch his kid play at Alabama, but I think he did play at Penn State.
You think he goes out there, he's like, and they introduce Michael Carroll, and he goes, boom, should have gone to Penn State.
Well, we had a defensive back's mother who basically did that. So that was a while back.
I don't think she did the Landon Collins thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't think
anyway, but Michael Carroll, man, what a great guy. I love how you pointed out that he's nasty on the field. That's a underrated trait. It sort of reminds me of and it's a pretty good comp for him, actually. Landon Dickerson, who actually played in Philadelphia. Big Mike's from that area, I think, and I think they met in an airport once. But
but Landon,
similar disposition.
Landon is funny nasty. Landon would do that thing where somebody goes offside, he points at you like this. It's on you, it's on you, it's on you. And then, like, if somebody pushed him when he was like, he would fall back like Fred Sanford. I feel like Landon Dickerson's the kind of guy who he would just like wipe a booger on you just to see your reaction. And you're like, what are you doing? He's like, well, you're not going to do anything about it. And you're like, of course I'm not. You're 1,000 pounds. But Michael Carroll looks like the kind of guy who's like, I'm going to need your car right now. And you just give him the keys. I mean, because
he takes your car keys.
And he's like, you can either give me your keys or I'm going to start your car with your face. You can do one of those two things. Here's another interesting.
Much better than a 15-yard booger foul.
I don't know if that's a 15-yarder. That's my point. I don't know if that's a 15-yarder.
Yeah, that should be 30 yards, I think.
How about this? All right, so I always like to, when you're talking about them, I pull them up on Google or ESPN or whatever. So I Google Michael Carroll, and it says Michael Carroll refers primarily to two distinct individuals, a highly touted freshman offensive lineman for the Alabama Crimson Tide and a British garbage collector who became famous for winning 9.7 million euro in the lottery at age 19 in 2002, only to lose it all by 2010.
I think this is a show about Alabama, and I love Big Mike Carroll. I love him. I'm now more interested in the British Garbage Man. Let's do Locked On British Garbage Man as soon as this show's over.
Well,
I'm diving into that.
They have a whole thing on Michael Carroll, and then they also have another thing on Michael Carroll, the lottery winner. They called him the Lotto Lout. He won 9.7 million. Lotto Lout.
9.7 million euros. I'm terrible with this, but wouldn't that be more like 15 million American dollars?
12.7 million, apparently. He extravagantly spent his fortune on parties, drugs, cars, and according to reports, he just threw the rest away. According to reports, he lost his entire fortune by 2012.
Would this be a lesson to our beloved Michael Carroll?
Yes, that's where I was going.
Don't do it this way. Don't do it that way, Mike. Don't do it that way. Learn from the other Mike Carroll.
Do all the other stuff, maybe not the drugs, but do all the other stuff while you have no money. And then you don't lose anything. And then you're done with it. And then when you get the money, you can be a class act. Here's this. You and I got this thing figured out. I mean, what are the odds that I bet you that garbage collector is probably a Bama fan. He's listening to this podcast. He's like, how did I come into this? That's not British. I don't know. I'm sorry.
The next guy we cover is not going to have a British counterpart, I'm guessing. I'm guessing the next guy that we're going to cover on the roster ranking will not have a British counterpart.
I have that written down. Quit stealing my jokes. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. Michael Carroll knows there's more to the score than what's on the screen. You can bet on that. And so does the other one. They both know there's a lot more to life than what you see right in front of you. And these moments remind us what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court and off the field, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that I never quit. We put the same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Jimmy believes, weirdly, in the garbage collector. I'm not sure he believes yet in Michael Carroll, the football player. I'm not convinced, Jimmy. I'm not convinced. Now, we've come to another guy, again, who will not have a British counterpart, I can almost assure you.
Maybe a Parisian, a Frenchman, perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, number 3 is Yhonzae Pierre. I considered Yhonzae at number 1, strongly considered, even after the initial list. I mean, all the way through this, I've considered making Yhonzae number 1 because I sort of have a prediction that Yhonzae is going to prove to be the best player on the team this fall. I mean, that's like I'm predicting this fall the best player on the field for Alabama is Yhonzae Pierre. But why I ultimately put him at 3 is this list isn't so much a prediction. It's so much a ranking based on what they've done to this point as a college football player. So I had to rank him behind the other 2. And that's why he settled here at 3. But I strongly considered him even higher. I think what Yhonzae did last year, basically coming off the bench to help save the season. If you think about the hype that Quay Russaw was getting, and then Quay looked fairly good early. And sure, Yhonzae was splitting some time with Quay. It's not like he wasn't playing at all. But Quay was the starter at Wolf. And then Quay gets hurt, I think, against Georgia. Yhonzae comes in, and I'll just be honest, Yhonzae's just a better player. He quickly proved to be a better player. I knew he would be a better pass rusher like day one. I thought, well, as a pass rusher, we might even be gaining here. With Quay lost for most of the year, we're probably gaining. I think Yhonzae's can be better at getting downhill and getting after quarterback. But I worried about Yhonzae laterally. I worried about him dropping into coverage. This is a linebacker position. It's not a defensive end. It's a linebacker spot. Linebackers drop. When the quarterback's passing, the linebacker either blitzes or he drops. So you got to drop a lot. Yhonzae, this has been a concern of his. He hit it out of the park after getting just a couple games experience. And I think by the end of the year, he proved to be, this is a 3-down, 4-down linebacker. And I'm thrilled with his maturation. And now he's a leader on the football team. Just a mature kid and boy, a great pass rusher. I will say this is, you know how I challenged Phylon before the basketball season started? I said, go be the best player in this league. Yhonzae Pierre, go win SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Go be the SEC. I think you can do it, man. SEC Defensive Player of the Year is a reachable, attainable goal for him, and I think he can get there.
And LeBaron Phylon took it to heart, and I believe that Yhonzae Pierre can.
Yep. Well, they all listen to the show. They all crowd around the radio and
the fireplace. We're like was it FDR that did the fireside chats?
we do the same. We just don't intentionally light the fire. It's just, by accident.
It's this whole thing's a burning mess. It's a dumpster fire. It's the dumpster fire.
That's better.
But Yhonzae Pierre, I'm with you. I mean, this guy has All-American written all over him. If you ask me, I think that he can have the kind of year that we have seen, not necessarily out of Will Anderson. Do I think he can be Will Anderson? No, I don't. Will Anderson's a complete freak of nature. Yhonzae's a freak, but Will's a freak amongst freaks. So
the freak.
He had 8 sacks last year, 3 forced fumbles. I would like to see that sack number get up to at least 12, and I think it can.
I was going to say 10, but I'm so conservative about it. I would put an over-under number at 10.
Yeah, I think you put an over-under at 10.5. I think that's where it needs to be.
That's probably right. The thing, though, that we got to take, I hate even bringing this up because we're going to talk about in the third segment, but players get hurt and miss games, and it becomes kind of hard to get to that number. But assuming Jon Pierre plays in every game this fall, someone betting the over if it's 10.5 is not crazy. I think because it was 8 last year, and he didn't really start until like game 5. Who knows what he could have done against Louisiana Monroe and Wisconsin if he played a bunch of snaps,
Yeah. And also 10.5, it may be low because if you think Alabama's going to get in the playoffs and you think they're going to do any damage at all in the playoffs, now those numbers count against your season too. Back in the day, here's the thing I've always wanted to ask. They say like so-and-so Magic Johnson or LeBron or whoever has the most triple doubles, but Oscar Robertson actually does. We just didn't count them back then. I'm like, well, just go count them.
Can't we count them now?
Can't you count them now? Why can't you count them now? You already are counting them. You have the averages. He averaged the triple double. Why can't you just say he did? And they're like, well, that's not what we called them then. I know, but that's what we call them now, and they're still the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we call people who put leeches on you doctors at one time. We don't call them that anymore.
Has anyone gone back at like LSU and looked at all the Pete Maravich film and drawn an imaginary line and added points if there was a 3-point shot back then?
Dale Brown did.
He did.
Yeah.
And what was it, 54 a game?
It was, yeah. I'll look it up when we get in the next segment and you're talking. But Dale Brown did it. And I'm like, that is really cool. We have the technology now.
I'm interested.
Just saw a video of a wildebeest with a cheetah on its back go in a swamp or like a little watery area in the, what do you call the savannah, and then the crocodiles tried to eat both the wildebeest and the cheetah, but the wildebeest got out and the cheetah got eaten up, and they were like, what a smart wildebeest or whatever. And it was all AI generated.
I was about to say,
you're telling me we can't figure out what to call Oscar Robertson's triple doubles? Why don't we just call them threesy twosies? I don't care. They're triple doubles. He averaged it.
It's hard to tell what's AI and what's not. Sydney Sweeney, AI or is she real?
She makes me very AI. I'll say that. I'm not even sure what it stands for.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know what's real or not. I watch a lot of those videos scrolling through, and then you see something spectacular, and you're like, this is either spectacular or it's AI, and I'm going to be angry. But then you can just ask Grok or whatever. Hey, Grok, is this real? And Grok tells you.
Grok's pretty sassy too for being AI in its own right. But
I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, I think Grok sort of, I'm like, hey, you ain't got to be a smart ass, Grok. I just asked you. And he's like, well, clearly this is not an actual Bigfoot that attacked New York last week. I'm like, well, I didn't know.
No, Luke, that's not a cheetah riding on a wildebeest's back through the Mobile Delta while being attacked by saltwater crocodiles.
While Sydney Sweeney is bathing in the water on the other end. Oh, game time. We love us some game time over here. The biggest stretch of college basketball season is almost here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, that's bucket list stuff, and I've done it, and it's fun. The hard part is always getting those tickets. Long queues and prices jumping at checkout and surprise fees at checkout, all that crap. You know it sucks. I know it sucks. Game Time's going to get rid of it. The Game Time app gives the advantage to the fans with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and blocks, they apply to everything. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank me later. That is my one thing that I guarantee. Jimmy's got the rest of them, and he does a good job with them. I'm going to be honest with you. Now we're going to talk about 5-hour energy. Let me tell you about a lifesaver. When you're calling games, when you're following around high school kids for 3 days and talking about every move they make, like I've been doing, then you may need some 5-hour energy because you lose your voice. I'm still doing podcasts. I'm supposed to be on Crane & Company later today. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sound like this. I don't sound good. But 5-hour energy has kept me going. I know I'm supposed to read all this stuff. I know, but I want to tell people, like, literally thank 5-hour energy. I would not have made it yesterday through those games without 5-hour energy. It was rough. And I'll tell you about it here in a second.
Do you remember the flavor?
Yeah, Confetti Craze. Confetti Craze is my jam. I love Confetti Craze. Look, it gives you a boost with 0 sugar. It has a lot of all kind of flavors you want. If you don't like Confetti Craze, fine. I think you're crazy, but I do. Send me your Confetti Craze. They also have cotton candy and fruity rainbow. That's Jimmy's favorite. Grape, berry, Hawaiian breeze, sour apple, peach, mango. They got it all, and it's all good. Go check it out. I mean, you can get it anywhere. You know, I went and got mine at Walgreens just because it was nearby and I was riding by, and I had to stop and get 5-hour energy and some cough drops. And man, I've been living off those things. And you definitely want to go check out 5hourenergy.com. That's 5, the number 5hourenergy.com, and go get you some 5-hour energy. It's a lifesaver. I'm not kidding you. It got me through the day yesterday, and I truly appreciate 5-hour energy forever and ever and ever. Jimmy Stein guarantee. All right. So first of all, AHSAA stuff yesterday. I'm having to bring my notes because when you do call that many games, you kind of forget what happened. But LaFleur and Winona, LaFleur from your boys down there in LaFleur, they got walloped by Winona. I mean, just beaten into submission. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I really thought that was going to be one of the best games of the day. Turned out to be one of the worst. LaFleur's got some dudes, though. They got 2 ninth graders, one being Justin Lawrence and one being Landon Powell. The ninth graders, Landon Powell is 6'7". He needs to put on some weight. He needs to grow a little bit in terms of muscle mass, and he needs to get a little more coordinated. But he's in ninth grade, and he's playing on the varsity team at LaFleur. That tells you a lot. Justin Lawrence, I mean, looks like he still needs to go through a growth spurt in his own right, but his handles are undeniable. His courage is undeniable. Landon Powell had a couple of blocks yesterday that Victor Wembanyama would write home about. So, I mean, it was a good game, and both of those teams are filled with youngsters, so they'll probably be back. Gunnersville on the girls' side won. Moody defeated undefeated Charles Henderson in let me tell you something, Jimmy. The best performance I've seen in this tournament so far, and I've seen just about all the games, is Serenity Rutledge, a point guard, 10th grader for Moody. She owned that game. She owned it. It was hers. Nobody's taking it from her, and I don't care what you say. That's awesome. If Alabama is not recruiting her, I give up. Again, maybe she's 5'6". I don't know if that's tall for a girl basketball. I don't know. I know that
she a point guard?
I know Charles. Yeah, she's a point guard. I know Charles Henderson.
What grade is this lady in?
10th, Jimmy, 10th.
Bama.
She was a monster, just a monster out there. And then she fouled out. Jimmy, she fouled out with Moody up big over the undefeated team. Charles Henderson's undefeated, barely been scratched all year. They're undefeated, and she's been running the show. She fouls out. Unbelievably, everybody goes, oh, God. And the lead had been cut to 6 when she fouled out. Moody put it together mostly behind Sophie White, who was a water bug out there dribbling all over the court. And but they couldn't catch her to foul her. That's how fast she was. They couldn't catch her to foul her. She was running like a gazelle in the savannah from a different cheetah than the one that was on that wildebeest.
Yeah, that's all AI.
It felt like I was watching AI last night.
Did AI.
The Gunnersville boys didn't do quite so well. They lose to Sylacauga. Sylacauga's got a good squad, so it'll be Sylacauga against Winona for a state championship. 2 state champs will be crowned today. Later this afternoon, it'll be 1A boys, 1A girls. So come on out to Legacy Arena. All right. Meanwhile, some dudes are going to be out for practice. One of which is Landon Simmons. And last night, I just wasn't paying much attention, I guess. And it said Landon Simmons to miss time as one of the highlights. And I guess I was in basketball mode and I was thinking Landon Simmons. And I was like, how can the basketball team keep dealing with this? And of course, it was Landon Simmons, who you and I love, who he was on the countdown not too long ago. Yeah, and I'm cool with it. Let me tell you why I'm cool with it. We need more people. I mean, yeah, Landon Simmons needs to get better too. I mean, he's not just like a finely tuned Reggie White. But we need other dudes to get better too. And so it means more reps for more dudes. So I'm kind of okay with this. Obviously, I'd rather his not be hurt, but I'm trying to show y'all there is a bright side to this.
Yeah, well, it's not disastrous when you lose a guy from the spring as long as he's projected to be back in the fall. And Landon Simmons and we talk about the two guys that I would project as starters that will be out for the spring. So I think this is bad news, no doubt. But Landon Simmons and Will Sanders will both be out the entirety of the spring. Both I would project today as starters. They're probably going to lose a little ground because opportunity, like Luke said, opportunity will be given to others, and they will pick it up and run with it. Hopefully, and then hopefully Landon and Will Sanders are both back this fall and healthier and better than ever. My understanding, I do know a little bit about this. They'll both be fine, probably even well before fall camp. I wouldn't say holding them out this spring is precautionary. They just can't be out there, but they should be fine soon. Most of the players that are hurt, Luke, are players that are still recovering from injuries that occurred during the season and after the season, causing them to have surgery, and they're not too far removed from that surgery to undergo full physical football contact. So Sanders, potential starting left guard, out. Landon Simmons, potential starting defensive tackle, out for spring. They'll be joined by Jamarian Latham is out. No huge surprise there because of the extent of how serious his injury was last fall. And Danny Lewis, of course, recovering from his postseason surgery. Jamarian's in year 6 due to injuries. I won't be surprised at all down the road if Danny Lewis gets a 6th year, for all the time he's missed because it has been crazy. But that said, I think Alabama is prepared to move forward without them. But from what I understand right now, there is hope both will be fine this fall. There's hope that that's the case, but neither has been able to stay healthy for too long. Bray Hubbard and Xavier Brown are banged up. I think they'll probably be held out of contact. We'll have to see if that's for the entirety of the spring or just a portion of it. They're more banged up than out. But I think the big headline news here is Landon Simmons and William Sanders both being projected starters will miss the spring.
And again, if you want to look at it as a negative, I get it. I'm just trying to tell you what this does is give some other people a chance to hone their skills. And so I'm sort of I'm trying to look on the bright side. I'm being the sunshine pumper this time. Usually Jimmy's the sunshine pumper. He'll admit that. I'm pumping.
Right. And I will say who's going to get a chance here. I would look for guys like Edric Hill, maybe Jeremiah Beamon.
Yeah. Who was also hurt.
On defense, yeah, coming back from injury, but Jeremiah should be 100% this spring. That's my understanding is he should be 100%, but coming off injury. But look for Edric Hill and Jeremiah Beamon to get some extra reps that'll be beneficial for them. And on offense, Ethan Fields, the transfer from Ole Miss, Mal Waldrop, redshirting. Staff's high on him. The staff's high on him. They feel he's a projected contributor. And Nick Brooks, the transfer portal kid from Texas. I think those will all be beneficiaries of the Sanders injury.
As we close out here, Dell Brown did chart every one of Pete Maravich's shots in college. And here's what he came up with. Maravich, as it stands, had 3,667 points, and he averaged 44.2 points without 3-pointers. And he had 3-pointers.
He averaged 44 points a game. Yeah. That's his average at LSU. 44.
Yeah. Had he had 3-pointers, he would have had 4,731 points and averaged 57 points a game.
57?
57.
Per game.
It really is. There was a movie about him.
Over 4 years. Are we sure that wasn't AI? back then. AI before its time.
I'm almost positive that they didn't even have electricity. So yes. But
he actually played, I think, around. I mean, I'm going to be off here because I'm old, but I think he played the late 60s. Is that right?
I think that's right.
Yeah, I would go like 66 through 69, maybe.
There was a movie made about him. There should be another one, but there was a movie called The Pistol that came out when I was in high school, and there's no way it did. I never saw it because even the previews look like, okay, this isn't going to be good.
Whoever directed Hoosiers should go back and do
that.
Do a Pete Maravich movie for today's generation. I don't think people believe it. I mean, I'm sitting here, I know all about the guy, and I'm still not believing it. He by the way, Alabama specific, he holds the Coleman Coliseum record for points scored in a college basketball game, as he does in many coliseums throughout the South. Darius Acuff, as good as he was against Alabama the other day, didn't even really scare that number.
Yeah, he should. They should do an AI movie and put in Pete Maravich, John Havlicek, vintage Shaq, vintage Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, vintage Jordan, vintage LeBron. Just have them all make it an even 10-on-10 and see how it turns out. That'd be kind of cool.
So an AI game with some of the college greats and put Maravich out there.
Yeah.
Watch him score 40 against. That's a fantastic idea. We shouldn't tell anybody about that idea. We should have kept that under wraps and gone straight to
late. It's too late. I don't know how to edit.
Now Garrett and Michael Southern are going to take all our money.
That is so true. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.